namaz. We have Mawlana Moazzin here, who is from Preston. Alhamdulillah, last week, brothers, they said, SDI Center, we had Salah workshop, and that was to do with practical Salah, and he demonstrated how to offer our Salah practically. So I thought, it will be good, inshallah Razim, if he can share the method of practical Salah so that brothers, they can benefit, inshallah. Please stand.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As-salatu was-salamu alayka ya Rasulullah. As-salatu was-salamu alayka ya Habiballah. As-salatu was-salamu alayka ya Nabiyallah. Wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Nur Allah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Alhamdulillah, you've heard about the faraiz, you've heard about the sharait, the conditions, and alhamdulillah today you've also covered the wajibat. Everything else that we do in salah and everything that we'll cover today inshallah in the practical will be either sunnah or will be mustahab. Some people have this thought or this opinion or this outlook on salah, on sunan, on mustahabbat. It's only sunnah, it's only mustahab. We can leave it, salah will be fine. Yes, salah will be fine, salah will count. But in a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, in hadith of Bukhari Sharif and Muslim Sharif, in Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, he says, Sallu kama ra'aytumuni an usalli. Recite salah the way you see me recite salah. So that is in accordance to the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. So when we recite salah, it should be recited the way the Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam recited, which includes all the sunan, it all includes all the mustahabbat, along with the faraiz and wajibat that we already learned. I won't identify each one because I'm sure you've already learned the faraiz. Last week you learned through them, and today obviously you've also learned the wajibat. So you should already know the faraiz and the wajibat. In addition to that, whatever else you learn, whatever else actions that we hear about are all either sunnah or mustahab. But inshallah we'll all cover that. When I do practical sessions, I like it to be practical literally for everyone. So if you weren't expecting this, then I apologize, but I will be expecting everyone to be standing and to be practically doing the actions as we go through them together, inshallah. Before we go into that, obviously you've already understood the sharait, you've already understood the faraiz, you've already understood the wajibat. So we're just going to swiftly go through the practical. It's not going to be in too much detail because we've already covered the details of the necessity areas anyway. So we'll all stand up inshallah, because of course, as we know, the first condition of, first farz of salah is to takbir tahrima, which should be done while standing. So if possible, just get into safs, so it's easy for you to do sujood and ruku' later on. Otherwise you're going to be bumping into each other, so we don't want a domino effect inshallah. So if you can just get into lines if possible. For those who are unable to understand, अगर कोई माजूर हो तो मैं समझता हूँ, अगर तकलीफ हो तो आप बैठना चाहे तो कोई मसला नहीं इंशाअल्लाह. So we'll start off of course with takbir tahrima. Now I'm sure you've already gone through takbir tahrima being a condition and also a farz of salah. The question always comes that why is it both? Why is it that takbir tahrima is a condition and it's also a farz of salah? The easiest way I understand to explain to people is that when you have a door, if the door is to a room, you can argue that the door belongs to the passageway or the hallway, or it belongs to the door, to the room. So the door belongs to both. It belongs to the hallway, it belongs to the room. Takbir tahrima is a door from the outside world to the spiritual world where we are going to be in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is why takbir tahrima is considered a condition, and it's also considered a fard of salah, because it is a door. Without that door, you can't enter into the spiritual world of being in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The other thing also to remember is what is takbir tahrima, in the sense that not the action, but takbir tahrima itself is that takbir which makes things haram. So before we could walk, it's halal, it's mubah, no one can say it's haram to walk. But in salah, if someone is walking, his folded his hand is walking, you're going to say this person is not praying his namaz would break, because it is haram to walk in namaz. To eat halal, of course, is halal, it's permissible. But if someone's eating whilst praying namaz, then you're going to say this person's namaz is broken, because it's the haram in salah. And the reason behind this, the wisdom behind this will be that we are not in this world spiritually. When we do takbir tahrima, we have left this world spiritually. Whatever was halal before is now become haram. Now we are in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As per the famous hadith of Jibreel, when Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam was asked, Man ihsan, what is ihsan? Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam said, recite salah or worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that way as though you are looking at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if this isn't possible, then worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that way as if you are thinking and remembering that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching over you. So salah is that time, at a minimum during salah, we struggle to be God-fearing. We struggle with piety, we struggle to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching us. But salah should be that one moment in our day at a minimum, during those 5 salahs that we recite in a day, those moments should be those special moments where it is only between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So spend time in that and enjoy that moment. You are in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our Lord has called us, and we are there in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at His call. So spend time there, don't rush your salah. So the first thing, of course, is takbir tahrima. We already know the wajibat and the faraiz around takbir tahrima. But what's also important is how we raise our hands. So according to the Hanafi mazhab, we will raise our hands to our earlobes. Now some people also say during the course of the practical, you're going to think, oh, this is painful. Yeah, our muscles will get painful, especially when I tell you to go into ruku. A lot of you are going to start complaining that we've been here for too long. Don't worry, I won't keep you too long. But it is painful. Or even when it comes to qaida, many will say it's painful folding our toes. And I understand that. That is because a human body is made of muscles, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not made us robots. So there's going to be certain actions which we can't do. But if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given those actions to us through Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, then that means that it is possible for us to do that. It might not be possible today for you, but make it your aim and your goal and a mission that inshallah I'm going to try and train my body to be able to do this. An example I always give is like we see athletes. Their bodies are not naturally, for example, flexible, or their stamina is not naturally high. It comes with practice. It comes with training. It comes with exercise. And salah in itself as well have many scientific benefits, but we don't recite it for that reason. That's why many people think it's fine just to fulfill the wajibat and the faraiz. If you are unable to complete any of the sunnah or the mustahabbat, then try and make it a long-term mission. But if it's a fard or a wajib, then you need to make it an immediate mission. It needs to be an immediate goal that you will fulfill the farz and wajib from the get-go, because otherwise your salah is not being complete. If it's sunnah mustahab, then make it a mission for a long term, that slowly but surely you will try and get to that stage where you've trained your muscles that you are able to fulfill every single action of salah according to the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. So first of all, when we're raising our hands for takbir tahrima, now you can see my hands, my palms are facing forward. Many people struggle with this, and to be totally honest with you, I also used to. Yeah, the back muscles at the top, you'll feel them straining. But again, like I said, that is going to come with practice. So you need to raise our hands, and your thumb will be touching your earlobes. Your palms should be facing towards the qibla. Of course, I'm facing the opposite, but your palms will face towards the qibla. Your fingers will be in its natural positions. No need to fold them, no need to keep them completely straight. In its natural positions, the gaps will also be naturally there. There's no need to keep them close together. Keep them as natural as you possibly can. Just loosen your fingers as naturally as they are and raise them to your earlobes. Now, as Mawlana Aqeel mentioned earlier, in regards to Allahu Akbar. Some people have a habit, especially if they miss the rakat or the imam, they find that it's in ruku. They'll say Allahu Akbar and they go straight to ruku. This is also impermissible. Rather, the fard will have been missed, the salah won't have even started. So takbir al-tahrima needs to be done correctly. So when we're doing takbir al-tahrima, it will be Allahu Akbar, and you'll fold your hands at Akbar. So the length of your takbirat will be the length of your action. If you do it at that point, then you will have completed the sunnah to the correct length. So takbirat will also be the length of the action. So that however long it takes to do the action or to get to the next action will be the length of the takbir as well. Some people lengthen it too much, some people do it too short, but the correct way would be, the mustahab way would be to do it in the length of the action that you are completing. If it takes you 3 seconds to fold your hands, then let it be 3 seconds of takbir. Allahu Akbar. Okay? If it's going to take you less, then it can be shorter. But it needs to be done in the correct way, and Allahu Akbar has to be said loud enough that you are able to hear it yourself. So you will raise your hands to your earlobes. Now if everyone can do that, inshallah. Then fingers will be in its natural positions, the palm will be facing straight, and the fingers will be in its as natural position as possible. Not too back, not too forward, not folded in, straight forward. And as I said, if you struggle with that, then inshallah as time goes on, the more you try, your muscles will be able to train itself for it. So Allahu Akbar. Now when we're folding our hands, so now we have come into salah. We have entered into salah. Like I said, takbir al-tahrima will now be complete. Folding of the hands, the sunnah method is that the small finger and the thumb will be wrapped around your left wrist. So the small finger and the thumb of your right hand will be wrapped around the left wrist, and the rest of the 3 fingers will rest on top. Okay, so that's first thing that we need to remember, how to fold the hands. Placement will be discussed after. Also in regards to the left hand, it's mentioned in the books, don't let it hang. Keep it behind your right arm. Yeah, behind your right forearm, keep it resting there so that it is in the correct position. In regards to your side at the beginning, when you are doing takbir al-tahrima, should be straight, but whilst you are folding your hands down, you should at the same time lower down towards the place of sajdah. Some people do this, or some people even in salah will look up. This is all makruh. You will start by looking straight, Allahu Akbar, and you will slowly, as your hands are folding, also follow your gaze is down towards the place of sajdah. Now you know how to fold your hands. Where do we place our hands? So according to the Ahnaf, we will place our hands just below your belly button. And one of the wisdoms behind that has been mentioned is in regards to spirituality. People complain that we can't concentrate. One of the ways is, just as I said, you're keeping your sight in the place where it's meant to be. So in qiyam, your sight should be towards the place of sajdah. And the other thing has also been mentioned is your nafs that whispers to us, that is placed under our belly button. So when we are standing in salah in qiyam, if we keep getting whispers, then we should firmly, not too hard that you start losing breath, but firmly just place it under your belly button and firmly press down on your stomach. Okay, so it will be just below your belly button, literally just below. The way to know whether you've done it the correct way or not is your thumb should be there and thereabouts near your belly button. If it is, then you've done it in the correct position. Because obviously everyone will be different, so I can't say yes, you put it in the right position. But if your thumb is thereabouts near your belly button, then that is your correct position of placing your hands in qiyam. Okay, so you'll fold your hands just below your belly button. Your sight will be towards the place of sajdah. Then obviously we will start off with thana, which is praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika wa tabarak ismuka wa ta'ala jadduka wa la ilaha ghayruk. So now again is sunnah. Then we will start with ta'awuz and tasmiyah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. And then we'll come to Surah Al-Fatiha, as we heard is wajib in certain rakats of salah, which we already know. So then we'll do again Bismillah, after Ameen it will only be tasmiyah. There will be no ta'awuz as well. Some people by accident recite ta'awuz. If they do recite ta'awuz by accident, then as you've heard, you will do sajdah sahw at the end because you have that delay. So after Surah Al-Fatiha, Ameen, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim and Surah, and then you have completed your qiyam.
Just explain what is ta'awuz.
Yeah. So ta'awudh is the name given to A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, seeking protection in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from shaitan, the rejected one. And tasmiyah is known for Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, beginning with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So ta'awudh and tasmiyah are both important at the beginning of Surah Al-Fatiha, but after Surah Al-Fatiha it will only be Ameen and Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. There will not be any, they won't recite A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim again. Okay?
Would you recite ta'awudh and tasmiyah before subhanakallahumma?
No. So at the beginning you will recite straight into Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. And then you will only recite ta'awudh, A'udhu billah after the sana, and then you recite Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim and then Surah Al-Fatiha. You won't recite it before sana. And again, like I said, sana is sunnah. So one point I want to mention in regards to sana is if we are joining jama'at and the imam has started qiraat, or you think that imam will have started qiraat. So if it's a jahr namaz, a jahri namaz, which we've already understood is Fajr, Maghrib and Isha, then in those namazes you'll know if the imam has started qiraat because you'll be able to hear them. But if it's a sirri namaz for Zohar and Asr, you won't know. So then you will be upon your thinking that if you know the imam, then you'll be able to predict that this is how long normally it takes Imam Sahib to start his qiraat. If you think that the imam has started his qiraat, or you can hear the imam has started his qiraat, you will not recite thana and you will remain silent. But if you know that the imam hasn't started, or you think the imam won't have started, then you will recite thana even whilst behind the imam. But after that you will not recite anything. You won't recite A'udhu billah, you won't recite Bismillah, and you will remain silent until the imam goes into ruku, and then you will continue with the namaz. Okay, is that clear? So then you will go into ruku. Now again, the takbir that you will say Allahu Akbar will be the length that it takes you to get to ruku. The definition of ruku you already understand is that your hands have to reach your knees. So this would suffice for the farz of ruku, because my hands have reached my knees, that is sufficient. But for men it is necessary that our back remains straight in line with our head. Now some people, they think that it is that the back should be at a 90-degree angle to our legs. And as I said before, we're not robots. It's not going to be possible for you to have a complete straight back. Naturally our back has a curvature. So what does it mean by our back being straight? Is the top part of our back. So our back will curve, and I'll show you practically as well, will curve, and then there'll come a point where it will be straight. Now that point will have to be in line with your neck and your head. That is what he's talking about when he's saying your back, your head and your neck should be in line. Okay, and when I do it practically, you'll be able to see that will be the top part of my back rather than the lower end. Because the lower part will naturally have a curvature. It's not possible to even that out. When it comes to your legs, they will remain completely straight. There will not be any bending in your legs. You will not bend your legs at all. Your legs should remain completely straight. Your hands are permitted to bend if you are unable to keep your back straight without bending your arms. If you're able to, then it's better to leave them straight. But if you're unable to, then you can bend your arms in order to make your back straight and in line with your head. In terms of where we will look, the reason I'm telling you all this beforehand is because I don't want you to be in ruku for too long. So I'll tell you now, otherwise you're all going to get tired of me before you even get to sajdah. So when you are in ruku, you look down, straight down, in between in the books it mentions you look at your toes, but naturally you look in between your feet. And one thing I forgot to mention earlier is regards to how far your feet should be spread out as well. Some people have a tendency of spreading them out wide. This is not from the Hanafi madhab. We do not do this in the Hanafi madhab. In the Hanafi madhab, our feet should be close together and approximately 4 fingers. And the reason 4 fingers has been mentioned is because it's equivalent to having another foot in between. So that is the ideal. No one needs to actually go down and check before every namaz. Everyone knows their rough idea. As long as they're not going to lose balance, then you have got it in a good position. So don't keep them too close, otherwise whilst doing the positions, going into ruku, etc., you're going to lose balance, you're going to fall over. Okay, and that's the last thing you want. So keep them separate enough that you will be able to keep balance, but not too far out that it causes an issue for the person next to you. Okay, so 4 fingers is the approximate that has been given as a guideline. More or less is fine, but as long as you're not spreading them out too much. So you will look down straight in between your feet. However, you will not keep your head up, you will not keep your head down. Like I said, it needs to be in line with your back. So your head will be in line with your back, but your side will be straight down. Some people have a tendency of keeping it up. Some people put it down too much where the chin is touching the chest. They both are incorrect. You will keep it at a straight, just as when we stood, our head is straight. It will be the same as we're in ruku as well. It will be in line with your neck and your back. And I'll do it now practically so you can see that. Okay? So, whilst going into ruku, obviously when you're going to be stood in qiyam, so we'll be saying Allahu Akbar. Now, as you can see, my head and the top of my back is in line. Yes? But if I keep my hands straight, my arms straight, you can see it's going to be raised. Yes? So in order to ensure that my back is straight, I need to fold my arms slightly. There. Yeah? And as you can see, I'm not going like this, nor am I putting my chin to my chest. Okay? Straight in its natural position as you would be if you were standing straight. Okay? And this is the correct way, not folding your knees, but keeping your knees completely straight, and your elbows can bend only if you need to straighten your back out. Okay, is that clear? Are we all ready to do it? Yes.
What about the people when you're doing jima, and some people will literally stand on the sahw and in one lane. That's a common problem.
In regards to sahw bandi, that obviously is very important, but that obviously depends on the masjid and how the lines have been organized. I mean, obviously, every masjid have different ways of standing.
If there's no enough gap between sahws.
No, in a straight line. Some people, when they literally stand, in the salah.
Whenever, the quick one, whenever you align sahw, you align with your heels, not with your toes.
Toes, yeah.
एड़ियाँ है ना, एड़ियाँ एक लाइन में होनी चाहिए, और तभी सब straight होगी. Because everyone has got different shoe size. If you align with toes, then there will be someone who will be standing at the back, someone will be at front. So the right way is you should align your sahw with your heels. So whenever you stand in sahw, you just see the person standing next to you, and see his heels and your heels they are in line. And best thing is follow the line on musalla. So wherever you see, the first line of musalla, that's where, if you keep, life will be easier for everybody.
Yeah. Okay, so that was obviously in regards to the sahws, which was clarified. So now we'll obviously go into ruku. If everyone wants to start going into ruku, I'll just try and get a bit out of the way. And inshallah, we'll have a quick look over and just make sure that you're all doing it correctly. Just remember that your head doesn't need to be raised. Lower the head down, so that not so much that your chin touches your chest, but enough that you're literally just looking straight down at your toes. You don't need to be having to move your eyeballs anywhere, then you've done it correctly.
You need to grip your...
Yes, so in regards to holding onto your knees, for men we need to grip onto our knees. Yeah, so we'll grip onto our knees. Obviously don't grip it so much that you literally pull your kneecaps out, but wrap it around it. Okay, wrap it around it so that your hands are spread out over your kneecaps, inshallah.
I'm conscious about time as well, but I was told there are sisters upstairs. औरतों के लिए है कि they shouldn't be bending to that much. They just need to... या औरतों को भी बता दें कितना अपना. औरतें जो हैं वो जब रुकू करेंगी, so they just need to bend so much that their hands can reach to their knees. That's all. They don't need to do ruku how men they do it. So for them the requirement is that they should just bend up to the extent where their hands can reach their knees. That's all.
Okay, so that was in regards to ruku. And once you're in ruku, obviously we have the tasbih which we recite. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. 3 times is the sunnah. If anyone wants to recite more, then of course they can, as long as it is in odd numbers, which has been narrated that it should be in odd numbers. So 3, 5, 7, 9, whatever it is, but as long as it is in odd numbers, then it is fine according to the sunnah. Then obviously we will come up from ruku towards qawmah. And in qawmah, probably one of the easiest positions, but as long as you have stood up properly. As you heard earlier as well, Qawma, you must stand up properly. That's the most important thing. So you stand up properly, your hands should be on the side, and whilst you're standing up from ruku, you will recite Sami Allahu liman hamida, and then Rabbana lakal hamd. Sometimes it happens that the Imam will go into sajdah very quickly. The Imam will come up, Sami Allahu liman hamida, and then within a split second or within one moment that it takes subhanallah time, it will go into sajdah. The reason for that is because it's not necessary for the Imam to recite the tasbih of Qawma. So that's why they do it, but we should just recite Rabbana wa lakal hamd and then follow the Imam straight after. It doesn't take long. There's no issues in that. Okay, so Qawma, there's nothing much to say other than your side will be, again, as it was in Qiyam, where you will do sajdah. So the place of sajdah will be your Qiyam.
Praying namaz with Jamaat, when Imam says Sami Allahu liman hamida, you will just say Rabbana wa lakal hamd, or Allahumma Rabbana wa lakal hamd, or Rabbana lakal hamd. These are three different ways how you can say. But for Imam, it's not necessary to say Rabbana lakal hamd. Imam will just say Sami Allahu liman hamida, and he will go in ruku. But if you're praying namaz alone, then you have to, it is sunnah to say both. When you come up from ruku, you will say Sami Allahu liman hamida, and then you say Allahumma Rabbana wa lakal hamd, and then you will go in sajdah.
Before the Imam starts.
As we say, he's our Imam, so you can't go before him.
Some people do.
No, this is again, you have to follow Imam. You need to make sure that you follow Imam in every action. So one needs to be careful. If you are ahead of Imam, then that will, I think, invalidate your namaz. Yeah. And the mistake, what was mentioned about Qawma, is, what is the minimum ruku? Your hand should reach your knees. Now, if someone was in ruku and he stood up, okay, Sami Allahu liman hamida, and he just, he raised himself only to this position where his hands are still able to reach his knees, and if he goes in sajda, that means he's missed on wajib. That is Qawma. So one needs to be careful about this.
Jazakallah. Yes, so Qawma, your hands will naturally just stay on your side, and that is the position for where your hands will be during Qawma. Okay?
Would you say Rabbana lakal hamd while standing up, or would you say when you are standing up? Sami Allahu liman hamida after that, and Rabbana lakal hamd when you are standing position, or would you say all the way up?
So obviously, if you're going to say Sami Allahu liman hamida, if you're praying on your own, you're going to be saying Sami Allahu liman hamida while standing. So then that's what you will recite while standing. And when you stood in Qawma, then you'll say Rabbana lakal hamd when you're praying on your own. Yeah. Okay. So then obviously we'll go to sajdah. Now in sajdah, there's certain things which will cover certain things which you'll already have known in regards to the furrows of the toes, etc. But there's other things which are also very important, and it will make it makruh if you're done it incorrectly. Okay. So first thing is obviously the way that we go into sajdah, the method of going into sajdah. Some people have a habit that they'll either start adjusting their trousers or start adjusting their clothes or their shirt or whatever they have on before they go into sajdah. If there's no necessity, like for example, if someone has a t-shirt on and if he doesn't adjust it, then his satar will become uncovered, then with one hand he can do, because obviously he knows that his satar will become uncovered. But if there is no necessity, and some people have a habit of doing it for no reason whatsoever, or just raising the jubba or whatever and going into sajdah in that way, this is makruh tahrimi. Okay, this is makruh tahrimi, to play with your clothes or to adjust your clothing during salah without a reason would be makruh tahrimi. So if someone does that, where they have a jumper or something and they pull it down before they go, or they raise their trousers before they go just out of comfort, this is makruh tahrimi, it mustn't be done. Okay, and also along with that is that some people also have a habit of just putting one hand there and one hand straight onto the ground. This is also khilaf awla, this is against the sunnah. We shouldn't be placing our hands on the ground first. The right method of doing sajdah is that your knees go down first, then your palms, then your nose, and then your forehead. This is the sunnah way of going into sajdah. Okay, so whilst we're going into sajdah, we'll hold on to our knees, Allahu Akbar, and whilst we're going to place our hands down first, then your nose, then your forehead. Now before I make you do it, another also important point is in regards to our arms. Our arms can't touch our body. This is for men. For women, they will do sajdah as closely as possible. Okay, they will kind of gather their whole body together and do sajdah as tight as possible. For men, we shouldn't do our sajdah but where our arms are touching our body, our torso. Okay, so the arms can't be touching our torso, otherwise this will be makruh. Along with that, our forearms, again this is for men. For women, they will be on the ground, completely down. The forearm will be on the ground. For men, it's not permissible to place our forearms on the ground. In the books it's mentioned that not to do sajdah like a dog. Like a dog sits and it sits like that, it has the forearms on the ground. Yes, so when you go into sajdah for men, our arms should not be on the ground, they should be raised from the ground. Okay, but this doesn't mean that we have our arms completely spread out as if we have wings. Because then we're going to be, especially if you're in Jama'at, you're going to cause issues for people next to you. Because then they won't be able to do sajdah properly. They will struggle. So it just needs to be slightly spread out, and when I show you practically, you'll be able to see it doesn't need to be spread out too much. Just slightly spread out enough that your arm does not touch your torso and your forearm is not on the ground. It's not touching the ground. In regards to your nose, so you will have already known when you went through the fara'is that to put your nose down is compulsory. Place your nose down on the ground is compulsory. How much does it need to be placed? Whereby when we touch our nose and we push it to the side, you can feel where the hard bone starts. Yes, so the soft bone has to be firmly on the ground, so much so that the hard bone then touches the ground. Okay, don't do any more than that, otherwise you'll come up from sajdah crying, because it'll be painful. Okay, so don't do any more than that, but just so much that your soft bone is down and your nose is firmly placed on the ground. Your hard bone should now be touching the ground. Don't do any more than that. And your forehead also needs to be on the ground at that point. Question always comes up in regards to glasses, and this is why I'm covering it now, is because of the reason behind taking glasses off. Some people take them off, some people keep them on. What's the reason behind it? The ulama, they say that the only reason you must take your glasses off is if you are unable to do the sajdah correctly. So for example, before I got these glasses, I had glasses which just had one frame in between, the one bridge in between. So I was able to do sajdah without a problem. I was able to press down my nose firmly and my forehead on the ground, no problems at all. But when I got these glasses now, because of the extra bridge on top, when I go into sajdah, it comes in the way and I'm unable to do sajdah properly. So for that reason, I take my glasses off. So everyone will have their own, they'll know whether they need to take them off or not. If you feel it helps you, then just take them off. Okay, if you feel like you're going to help you concentrate, for example, then you should take them off. But it's not necessary to take it off as long as you can do your sajdah correctly. What about that, sorry?
If you're putting your topi down,
Yeah.
it's not touching the floor, is it? So do you have to...
So as long as, if your topi, for example, if you have a really thick woolly hat, yeah, for example, the Turkish hats that they have, yeah? So those hats are very padded at the front. If that is covering your forehead, and now you're doing sajdah not on the ground, but on your hat, then this will be makruh tahrimi. Not just for hat, but any surface which is soft padded, where you can't feel the end of it, for example a mattress, or nowadays you get really thick musallas as well. Yeah, these would not be permissible to pray namaz on. It would be impermissible because you can't get to the bottom of it. Yeah, you can't feel the end of that material. But if it's a thin hat and it covers the forehead, then it would be fine as long as you can feel the end of it and there's no extra give in it in the sajdah basically. Okay, is there anything else you want to add? Okay. Okay. So then now obviously you can all do sajdah. But obviously, like I said, try and do it according to the sunnah. Your hands will be on your knees whilst you're going into sajdah, and then you will fall into sajdah, inshallah.
Take care of toes.
Yeah, so the toes obviously I didn't cover because you've already covered, but one toe is fard on both feet. So one toe on both feet is fard, and 3 toes on both feet is wajib, 5 toes is sunnah. So we should all be aiming for sunnah. It's not sufficient just to think wajib is done, so I'm leaving it. Because like I said before, we are going to recite salah the way Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam recited salah. Okay? In terms of where your hands are placed, the best way to figure out whether you place your hands in the correct place is that you should be able to see your thumb in line with your nose. Yeah? Not too close, not too far out, just enough that you can put your head in between, that's sufficient. But the placement isn't too low, not too high, but where your nose comes in line. In general, it's mentioned about the ears, but obviously we can't see our ears, so it's difficult to gauge that. So the best way and easiest way to see it is because your bottom of your nose is in line with the earlobes anyway. Yeah. So naturally, the bottom of your nose will be in line with your earlobe. So when you go into sajda, then you should be able to see your thumb, the tip of your thumbs, in line with your nose. That would be sufficient. But your hands should not be touching your face as well. So not too close that your hands are touching the face. Obviously for the sisters, they will do it as closely as possible, and they will only keep a space just about enough for them to be able to place their nose correctly on the ground. Okay, but for men, we will keep them separate. Our hands should not be touching our face. Okay, then we come to now we will go to jalsa or qaida, and the same rulings will apply, and that is in regards to the toes as well mainly. Okay, the first thing though, when we're coming up from sajda, the way we went down, we do the opposite way. Raise our forehead first, then our nose, then we'll raise our arms, our hands, okay, our palms from the floor. When we are sitting in qaida, it's been mentioned that your hands should be on your lap, not on your knees. Some people have a habit of keeping their hands there. This is incorrect. Your hands should be on your lap. So just as your knee finishes, just above that. Someone asked me that, is it true if you keep your hands lower down, then the fingers are dipped in Jahannam? I said, astaghfirullah, we are in Jannah when we are in Masajid. So no, your hands are not dipped in Jahannam. But of course, like I said before, we are reciting Salah the way Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam recited it. So your hands should be just above your knees, okay, on your lap. In regards to the toes, so your right foot will be raised towards the right side, on the side. You won't sit on your right foot. You will keep that on the side, and all your toes should be facing towards the qibla. Okay? Again, this is sunnah, but some people leave it out thinking, oh, it's only sunnah, I can leave it. But again, we are reciting Salah the way Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam recited. So we need to keep our right foot outside. We don't sit on your right foot. It will be on the side and facing towards the qibla, the toes. And your left foot is what you will sit on. So your left foot will be crossed, and I'll turn around so you can see it properly. Obviously you won't be able to see my toes because I've got khufs on, but at least you can see. Yeah? So the right foot, all the toes are facing towards the qibla, and I'm sat on the left foot. Okay? Sorry? No, they don't have to be touched. It doesn't matter whether they're touching or not. Some people, that's just irrelevant, to be honest. I think it's just because naturally, sometimes it touches, it doesn't.
You have to bend them as well.
No. So the left foot, you just keep them flat and just sit on them. There's no requirements for the toes or anything. You sit on your left foot. Your right foot is what you keep to the side and face towards the qibla. Okay? And then obviously we'll raise.
They need to take both their feet should be
towards the right.
Right side, and they sit on the bottom when they sit in this position.
Yeah, so for our sisters, they will sit with both their feet towards the right, and they will sit on the bottom. So they won't sit on any of their feet. Whereas men will sit on the left foot, and the right foot will be on the side. But the women, they will just keep them out like this. Yeah, and then they will sit in that position. Okay? And in regards to when do we raise our fingers? Okay, some people have different opinions on when we should do it. The correct way is that in tashahhud, in at-tahiyyat, we'll come to ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Okay, so raise it at la and we'll lower it down at illallah. The reason for that is because of the meaning. If you look at it, there is none worthy of worship except Allah. As soon as you say accept, you put your finger back down, and then there's no requirement to keep your finger up or anything. You will then put your hands back to as they were before. Okay? Yeah, so according to some other mazahib, there is in regards to keeping the fingers up. According to Hanafi, there's no need to keep our fingers raised or even there. We'll just put them flat, because the purpose of it is for tashahhud, where we recite the kalima, where we say ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. The wisdom behind it, some ulama ikram have said, is that death is so close to us that we could say ashhadu an la ilaha, and before saying illallah, we might pass away. So if you have your finger raised, then it is a shahada finger, which we say that is shahada finger, that we are saying in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that I still believe in you as the God, but we finished the sentence at, there is none worthy of worship. But when we say accept Allah, then we put our finger down, there's no need to keep our fingers raised again. Okay? So obviously we have in Qaida Ula we'll only recite Tashahhud at-Tahiyyat, and if it's Qaida Akhirah we'll recite at-Tahiyyat, we'll recite Durud Ibrahim and Dua Ma'thura, and then obviously we'll do Salam. So Salam is the last thing we'll mention and we'll cover inshallah. Is obviously we know it's Khuruj bi sun'ihi, but we call it Salam because that is wajib. So we'll stick to talking in regards to Salam. Now Salam is to say Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum. Obviously we say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, which is the full complete way of reciting it, is Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Our sight at that point, our gazes should be towards our shoulders. Okay, not looking out and thinking who's missed their rakats, or who's next to me, or who's come for namaz and who hasn't. We don't need to take a register. Angels are stood there for a register. Okay, we need to worry about ourselves. So we focus on our shoulders on both salams. So Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Okay, and in that the intention is that we have now returned back to the world. Remember at the beginning, I said you've left this world spiritually, you have gone in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now you are saying salam to tell people that I'm back. Assalamu alaikum, I'm back. So when we come back at home, when we come back from somewhere, we say salam to someone. So this is also saying salam to the world again, in a sense to say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, I'm back, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, I'm back. So the intention will be the angels and anyone that is on your right if you're in Jamaat, and the angel on your left and anyone on your left if you're in Jamaat as well.
If you pray behind Imam Sahib, do you pray the Salam with the Imam Sahib or after the Imam?
Ideally, it should be with, but because some people recite it faster than the Imam Sahib sometimes take longer, it's better to wait for the Imam Sahib and do it a few seconds after the Imam Sahib has started it, because especially if they do it long. If some Imams have Assalamu alaikum and then do it long, then you can wait till the Imam Sahib has finished, because if you do it before the Imam Sahib, then now you've jumped in front and now your namaz won't count. So that's why it's always better to err on the side of safety and make sure that you have completed it after the Imam, but don't delay it too much that it takes 3 subhanallahs after it. Okay, generally we say as muqtadis we just say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, but Imams do it longer. So that's why I always say that wait for the Imam to at least get halfway through his salam, then you start yours. But that at least you're making sure you've not done it before the Imam. Okay?
Even your turning of face should be such that if someone is sitting behind you, he should be able to see your cheeks.
Cheeks, yeah.
Should we do questions next week, or yeah, because there's one important ruling, especially for our brothers, with so many things in fashion. One of the things is low waist trousers, and if you're not wearing long shirts with those low waist trousers, you need to be careful when you do sajdah. The reason being, we said one of the conditions of Salah is satre aurat. And with men, our scholars, they have divided our satre aurat into different parts. And they say any part from that satre aurat, if quarter of it is revealed for one rukr, that is 3 subhanallah unintentionally, that means you have to repeat your namaz. And if that was revealed knowingly, then your namaz is void, you have to restart it. And one of the part is which includes from your navel, that is belly button, until your private parts, front and back. So you can just imagine, it's only this part, and if quarter of it is revealed whilst you're doing sajdah, and if it stays open, if you don't have long shirts or long t-shirts, and if it's revealed for 3 subhanallah, and if it's quarter or more, then you have to pray your namaz again. So you need to be careful in what you are wearing, especially when you offer salah. And that is the reason many a times after praying, even after reading salah for years and years or months and months, people, they don't get the benefit what one needs to get from it. And one of the reasons is, maybe we lack in these masails what we need to follow, because we are standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So inshallah we will end this session here. We've taken, because these sessions are such where even if we try to squeeze in, And I don't want to rush with things, because if I wanted, I would have just read those wajibs and that's it. Maulana, if you wanted, you would have just finished this practical demonstration within 15 minutes. But it's not just about mentioning, but it's about showing or demonstrating people the way they can remember it, inshallah. So you've taken a little bit of more time, and especially brothers, when they came to, to discuss how this course should be. Again, we were thinking if it's prolonged, yani if we keep it for 6 or 7 weeks, then again that might put off some people. But if we keep it for 4 weeks, again it was a challenge for us how to cover things which are important. So these are things which are important, what we are covering, inshallah azim. And hopefully, and I believe, strongly believe, with conviction in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever time you have spent, inshallah, as it's been mentioned, any time, any part of night, if you spend learning any ruling of deen, inshallah, is better than spending full night in the ibadat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Pray after me, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. As-salatu was-salamu alayka ya Rasulallah. Sallallahu ta'ala alayka wa sallam. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا نور الله صلى الله تعالى عليك وسلم. Now after this program, if anyone wants to stay and ask question, I'm there. Inshallah. Even if you want me to stay until midnight, that's not a problem. But we end the session here. But if any brothers, they've got any questions, feel free to ask me after,